A relationship between two people is based on a very fundamental thing: love and respect. Without love and respect, you cannot have a relationship. In Judaism, we have a third rail. The third rail is, well, wait a minute, how do I know if I'm really doing what's right? That's where God comes in.
Hello. Welcome to the Torah Broker. My name is Sanford Burstyn. Today we have a special guest in Rabbi Marlowe. And Rabbi, would you tell the audience a little bit about who you are?
So my name is Rafael Marlowe, and I am an adult educator for 30 plus years. Most of those 30 plus years, I was teaching. I was hired in a unique capacity to teach high wealth individuals in South Florida, but there are many. And so most of my clientele are CEOs, leaders, people who have made it to the top. And my job was to introduce Judaism to them in a way that would be engaging, educational, and most importantly, to come back and teach them again. Those three things are important to adult education, that people have to want to hear what you have. There's a message. So over the course of my life, I realized that the message is very, very simple. And I have the Torah gives us a tremendous wealth of information, ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom. And ancient wisdom is something that it's wisdom. Wisdom is real wisdom if it endures for the generations. Torah has endured for the generations, and we have a tremendous amount of ancient wisdom. And the question now is, are we the right vehicle to bring it to modern times? And that's what was my emphasis was, how can I transport ancient wisdom into modern times, right? And so with that introduction, I think, one of the topics that everybody today in the world we live in is relationships, right? Torah has a lot to say about relationships and how a healthy relationship works. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So most people today, we added a component today. We have a challenge of knowing who we really are. And that's not the issue for today. But we know from a Torah perspective, we have a relationship as a man and a woman, or man and God, or man and his son, children, wife, daughters. Those are all relationships. And in each of those relationships, there are guiding principles that we need to use in order to make the relationships work. So I'd like to chat a little bit about what are some really fundamental principles that help create pathways and rails for us to utilize when we're in relationships. Are you interested?
Very much so.
Okay. So the thought is basically a relationship between two people is based on a very fundamental thing: love and respect. Without love and respect, you cannot have a relationship. By love, I mean not being loved, but I mean giving love. Relationships are about giving to another person. Respect is what you see in another person that you value. So when I look at Sanford, I see persistence, I see strength, I see, courage to do things that are unique. That creates respect. The love part is when I can give to you, when I can share with you. That creates relationship. Those two things, the love, giving to you, sharing information with you, and the respect part, where I see who you are. Those two components are the basis of a relationship. In Judaism, we have a third rail. The third rail is, well, wait a minute, how do I know if I'm really doing what's right? Where's my objective standard of knowing what to do? That's where God comes in. That's where Hashem comes in. When we have a relationship, we're realizing, wait a minute, that big ever-seeing eye knows what I'm doing. He sees my heart. He sees my actions. I'm not living here alone on this little planet spinning 25,000 miles an hour in the middle of the universe, and I'm all alone. There's no one looking at me. No, there's an eye that sees and supervises. We believe that. And in a relationship between two people, if you ever mistreat a person, and it comes back on you? You ever have that situation where you're like, I don't like this guy, and you sort of like push him down, all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, the same situation comes back to you? Like, why is this happening to me? It's because I probably did the same thing to somebody else. A lot of times that's what happens.
So do birds of a feather flock together?
What do you mean by birds of a feather flock together?
Well, you were speaking about the genesis of respect in observing people's virtues that are attractive or align with the viewer.
So you're saying people will find commonalities amongst themselves. Well, that's certainly true. It's certainly easier to like a person who you respect. You see in them virtue. I mean, we've all met people who we have instant respect for because we see who they are, how they present themselves, what's important to them, how they talk to us, how they treat us, right? Those people are easy to respect because they're already more of a full person. But then we'll find a person whose, unfortunately, life is not shining on him so much, and maybe he's down. It's harder to see the good in those people. I guess I'm going to quote a source that's an intellectual leader, one of the presidents of UCLA, Warren Benis. I think it's UCLA. I heard in his name the quote that if I fail to find something interesting in a person, it's because of me. I didn't look. So we have to look at people. We have to really look inside them and see, where's their virtue? Where's their greatness? Right? And we have to look to respect that in people, especially in our spouses and our children, because they're so close to us. We get used to it. Commonality numbs us from seeing the great virtue in them. A lot of times we have to back up and reflect on how much they really are as a person. How great, there's greatness in all of them.
You mentioned how God watches us in these relationships. Or is he recording a score on our performance? Is this a merit that?
Oh, that's a very good question. From a Torah perspective, you can't fool God. Is he up there keeping score? You get 3 brownie points versus 2 demerit points. That would be a very diminished way of looking at the entirety of a divine being who understands everything about everything at all times. So I think we have to think a little bit more global and realize that, if I was able to look at you and see your entire life in one scope and understand all the facets of what you've been through, then I could keep score. But I don't. I can't see that. God can, but he doesn't do that either. But he knows what's in our heart. He knows what's in our brain. He knows what we're capable of. So when he sees what we're capable of and we're not performing, that's perhaps when we get a gentle nudge. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's a bit more subtle than subtle.
Rabbi Bronstein was giving over from Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto the how God has engineered the world to work with levers and switches and chains and gears. So it's one of the demonstrations of it might be the butterfly effect, where this activity occurs here and causes an action somewhere else. With that concentric circles, you drop the rock in the water and you see these opening radiuses of circles and causes a frog to fall off a leaf down the river. That vision made it a little bit easier for me to understand how God operates the world, because before that, I was thinking more along the lines of God somehow expanding himself in such a large way beyond my comprehension that scores, deals with, reacts to, provides for, takes away from, showers with, as a reaction to all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But these this mechanism of levers and switches obviously put together by the Rabbi Shalom, and maybe it's an oversimplification, but
Well, who put the frog there?
right. And maybe he needed to fall off the leaf.
Right. Maybe his time was up.
Right, right. So we're all messengers in some way.
Yeah, right.
There was a question here somewhere.
Yeah.
Give me just a moment, please. Right, this notion of scoring. Listen, if Billy needs some screws at Ace Hardware, and he goes over there and he buys the screws and he pays the cashier and he walks out and he says, "Have a nice day," versus he goes there and he's exasperated because he can't find the screws, and they announce on the loudspeaker for someone to help Billy with the screws, and it takes a long time for somebody to get over there, and he's agitated and he expresses himself with too much intensity. That could diminish his impact on the world in that way. You create a little bit of an accountability in a little bit of a scary way.
So let's jump on that for a second, because let's say you come into the store with your mindset of love and respect, and you see Billy. You're the salesperson, and Billy comes looking for the screws, and you see he's just like he's fit to be tied. He's been working on this project like happens to me all the time. When I usually go to a hardware store, it's the third time I've been in there, and I still don't know how to figure things out because I just can't figure out what I need or what I don't need. But the hardware man says to you so calmly, "Where are you up to? What steps do you need? How can we make it better for you?" That's what you hope for when you go to talk to a salesperson, because he's more objective than you, right? He's more objective, and he's hopefully going to field, he's going to harness, and he's going to channel all your negative energy. Say, "Oh, no, you just need a little screw like this. I'll show you how to do it." That's what we want to do. I think that's pulling it back to the relationships. It's the same sort of thing. A lot of times we just have to feel the energy that people are giving us. So a lot of times, I think, which is where the underlie of your question is when people come and they ask us something, not necessarily from the best position, how do we deal with it? So, like always, especially with our family, we have to evaluate people from two levels. Oh, your kid cut his finger, he's bleeding, he's crying. Oh, it's clearly a nothing cut, but he's crying. Oh, so you have to soothe you have to get him a Band-Aid, and you have to make nice to him, but you also have to hold him and give him the love that he wants. So that's the same thing a lot of times in life. When we get a little bent out of shape, we have to go do the same sort of thing. We have to go and realize we all have this multiple levels of confusion going on inside of ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we're just reacting. Sometimes we're responding, a higher part of who we are. That's really what we have to do when we deal with others. We have to respond and not react. So when we have a paradigm of love and respect as the two tracks we're running on, and with the third triangulation, I remember growing up in Queens with the Long Island Railroad. The Long Island Railroad had two tracks and a power pack in the middle. The train was connected to this power pack. In a certain sense, this is what Judaism is. The two tracks, love and respect. These echo a lot of many mitzvahs in the Torah, positive and negative commandments, love and respect, do and don't do. But there's a power pack. There's a source. Where did this come from? You have to know the train won't run without the energy. And likewise, in our lives, we don't have energy, we're not going to run. If we don't have spiritual energy, we're not going to run. We need the spiritual energy from Torah and from spirituality in order to run our physical lives. Otherwise, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. There's really nothing we're after. We need that higher component in life. And that's where love and respect on a relationship level have to turn into love and respect for the divine level, because that energizes us. That makes us realize, wait a minute, God expects something from us because He gave us a lot. We have capacities, we have capabilities, and we can go beyond those capabilities to do great things if we plug ourselves in the right way. A general comment from my perspective is that the world has become very more materialistic and less idealistic.
Right.
Which means we have a need to revamp and reset our values. And a lot of times why our values are off is because the world doesn't spend time paying attention to them and teaching us that that's really an important way to accomplish what we want. So from my perspective, and let me give you a perspective, is that we have to have a certain basic level of awareness. The awareness transforms into our will. I have to want to grow as a person. That activates my will as a real human being to do things. That's when I can use my values. But if I don't have those two preambles, self-awareness and realizing that that's going to have impact who I am from a will perspective, I'm not going to get to use my values the right way. I'm going to make an inversion, and my value is going to be, I need no self-awareness, no use of will of what a person really is. And therefore I'm just going after the lowest common denominator, which is I need this now for myself. And that's where smallness becomes. There's a lot of smallness in the world today because everything is mechanical, electronic. There's no people interaction. When was the last time you went into a store and you actually talked to somebody besides sticking your machine into the self-pay line? There's no one to talk to. And when you actually need somebody, you can't find anybody to talk to.
Right.
So the faster the world goes electronically, the more we need the values, the more we need to focus on that, because that's you can't go into your kitchen and stick your debit card into the refrigerator and expecting your wife to cook a meal because you stuck the debit card into the refrigerator. Like, it's not going to happen, right? Hello, honey, how was your day? What's going on? You have to hear. You have to let somebody else into your world. That's different relationships. Relationships require us to open ourselves up to other people.
Is reciprocity fuel? Is it
Dividends?
Dividends. Nice. I like that. So sometimes there's just growth stocks. There's no dividend.
Sometimes
is someone capable, is the human being as righteous as he would be to continue to invest in people without the dividend? It seems like a rhetorical question.
No, it's excellent. It's an excellent question. Let's say you have a child who doesn't, let's say you have a teenager, okay? And the teenager is a great creature in social study. Because why? Because they are always, gimme, gimme, gimme. I need the keys to the car. I need money. I need food for pizza. I need and it goes on. It's a gimme list, right? But sooner or later, they eventually say thank you. They eventually begin to appreciate you. Especially if you've given in a way where you weren't a pushover, but you made them aware of it. They're sooner or later they start saying thank you, and I appreciate what you've done for me, and it's very pleasant to have that, because I have 5 children, so I understand the need to educate children where saying thank you is important. And not letting that go by. That's part of respect. When honoring one's parents, it's part of a respect component. See, this love and respect have a whole drop-down box of commodities that really sit underneath them. Underneath respect, honoring one's parents, thinking before you speak. How do you deal with a situation? How is it going to turn out in the long run? That's all under the respect component. And the love component is, wait a minute, they need me. I'm here for them. If you have elderly parents and you need to take care of them, it can be very taxing. But how do you deal with it? And I have an elderly mother, and it's sometimes very taxing because they'll forget, they'll do things that are seemingly innocuous to them and it's highly complicated, what do? You think about, wait a minute, this person raised me. This person gave me life. This person loved me for so many years. You have to focus on the love aspect. It's your fuel to help you deal with their decline. And a lot of times, again, same thing, love and respect. When we use those two axioms, we can transcend a lot of major problems, and it gives us a pathway to help us stay in sync and online with what we are as a human being.
What I see is where you come to an intersection, you're sitting at a red light, and a man comes to your window asking you for money. He's actually probably the more positive force, although visually it may not look like that. You're in an air-conditioned car with means, and he's living on the street looking for money to buy a hamburger. And yet his request is a test to see if someone is going to help someone in need,
Right.
who gets to score a lot of points with a few bucks.